As actors, we can do whatever we can. Beyond that, it's not in our capacity to actually control the box office. What can happen is you can, in his case, because he's a mainstream star as well, so he can have a draw, but rest will depend on how the film is made.
Hello, sir, and welcome to SpotboyE.
Thank you.
I saw your play, and it was, I have to confess this, it was amazing. It
Thank you.
touched that right chord, and even when I'm sitting, that voice of yours still echoes in my head. What kept you away from stage for so long?
I think it's quite incidental, frankly. I mean, initial days when I used to do stage, I came here in Mumbai to do stage. We did for a while, and then we faced some problems like getting the theatre. That was one. The other was that some of the actors, even on the day of the performance, would disappear just because they got a role in a TV series or something. So that was very, very. It broke my heart. So, which is why I said that. I don't think this is the kind of way I would like to work. And I also then got involved in writing, got involved in direction, or we opened our own company. So it took a lot of my time. And the kind of roles that I picked up and the kind of assignments that I was doing as an actor required a lot of attention from my side. So all these things put together sort of, in a way, took me away from stage. One of the other reasons also was new plays, to have new writing, which one should be able to address. At least at that time, it was not forthcoming. So, which is what sort of kept me away from stage for such a long time. Those stages, of course, my first love and where I learned how to stand as an actor, frankly.
So you and your wife, Supriya, started this new theatre group called Theatron.
That's
and
right.
How did this idea come up, and what do you plan to bring forward for this?
See, the name Theatron came to my mind because when I was a 19-year-old boy, at that time I was introduced to this fact that the first theatre in the world was called Theatron. So at that time I had thought that if I ever open a theatre group, I'd call it Theatron. And I discussed it with my children, who are now grown up, and they said that they liked the name and they thought that it was a very today's name. It had a nice meaning and it had a nice sound, and that's how we decided to keep the name Theatron. The idea was to basically, as I always say, use the experience of the elders or the people who have been in this field for a while, and bring about the energy and the talent and the ideas of the youth and blend them together to take this, in a way, this movement of theatre, as one would like to call it, ahead. And I'm not saying we are going to be spectacularly different from everybody else, but we would like to do something original. We'd like to do something which is, which we feel has some kind of sense in it, and involve a whole lot of youngsters who would like to be a part of this theatre group. And as things go forward, we'd like to do more and more plays, different kinds and different forms of plays, different contents, which we would like to address as we go ahead in time. But as of now, I mean, it's early days, though it's a restart, so there were early days in restarting, going back on stage.
So, Theatron's maiden production, Dopehri,
Yeah.
is a dramatic reading of a novella that you wrote 20 years back.
Yeah.
So, what inspired that?
We were thinking of writing something about women. The thought in my mind was that what can we write about women, because it used to be a kind of concern for me. It did matter to me as to what happens to the mothers and the grandmothers, much more than the little child, little girl child, because I knew that someday somebody will pick this up about the girl child and will talk about them. But what about those people who have already lived, say, 40, 50, 60 years of their lives? And in today's world, where everybody is wanting to go out of the house and work somewhere else, be it the city or the country, what happens to those who are left behind? So, which is what Dopehri, as you have already heard it, talks about the story of this woman who is completely lonely in her own space. And despite that, through the incidents of her life, even for herself, learns her own worth. And that's what meant the most to me as far as I am concerned.
So we saw how Sana and Ruhan both were actively involved in the production of the play. So will we see them on stage very soon?
Oh yes, for sure. But they would want to do their own kind of work, which is why I said that I would want the youngsters to come forward and take this, as I call, movement in theatre forward. And by theatre, I do not want to sort of limit it to only a certain kind of work. I would say any kind of work which has a relationship between the person on stage and the people in the audience is welcome to be done by Theatron. And I'm sure that both Sana and Ruhan would want to take this movement forward and want to do their own kind of work, whatever kind of work they would want to do. They're most welcome to do it. And it's obviously a great feeling when your own grown-up children are with you and support the work that you are doing and become a part of them. Half of your burden is taken off by them.
Absolutely. How have you seen the industry change in all these years?
You're talking about the theatre industry or the film industry?
Both of them, I would ask.
Theatre, what I would say is what I've seen, which creates a lot of warmth in my heart, is that because of some people who have consistent, I'm talking more about the Hindi theatre, because Marathi theatre and Bengali theatre always almost existed. But Hindi theatre has taken a great leap in the years that have passed. And I would say that a lot of people who have been consistently doing theatre for these 2-3 decades are responsible for this, the number of people that come to see a play today. So it's very heartwarming to see a lot more audience wanting to see theatre, and people who do theatre are able to get packed houses and get a lot of people to come and see their work, buy tickets, encourage their work, write about them, talk about them. So by which I am hoping that a kind of culture is created in people where film and television don't only remain the only means of entertainment, but there is also something much more that probably theatre can provide to them, which these people get sort of used to, start liking it, and suggest it to others as well, that come and be a part of the audience in such places. This is the theatre part of it. As far as the films are concerned, I think all of us have seen a very visible change in the way or the kind of films that are being made in cinema today, the kind of directors that have come up with new subjects. The producers have become more courageous in terms of supporting those subjects and providing them with finances and letting the films release, whereby letting the audiences come and see different kind of cinema. For that, I would say the movement, this whole business of on one hand, the movement that was started in the early 70s by some of the so-called art filmmakers, and then later by some youngsters who decided to blend the so-called art movement with the commerce and make a kind of cinema which is acceptable to a larger section of audience, not to just a niche audience, has helped in taking the movement of cinema to greater heights. Within our country, I am saying. A lot also has to do with the exposure that the youngster got from the internet and from these mediums of computer, etc., because they got to see what is being made in the world, and thereby they sort of got educated in that. Therefore, their own desire to see something of this kind in their own country, which is what I think helped this kind of cinema to come about. I would say that we have waited for better cinema or different cinema for a long time, and it's wonderful to see that there are a lot of filmmakers who are making that kind of cinema, and a whole lot of actors who are becoming a part of that.
So you've talked about film, so I'm very curious, what do you think went wrong with Matru, Finding Fanny and Shandar that didn't work at box office?
It's very difficult for me to say. I think Finding Fanny did very well for itself, as far as my knowledge goes. I think Matru made its money. It may not have become a hit. Please always remember that when directors are going to try different kinds of forms, it's not going to be easy for the audiences to take it right in the beginning. and we are also in the process of finding out ways and means of communication to our audiences. Not every time will you be able to get people into the theatre the way you might want them. That's one. The other is, it could be marketing, it could be the way the film is positioned, it could be the kind of theatres that you got. I'm not trying to give any excuses. I'm saying at the end of the day, it is the final product which works or doesn't work. But especially for Finding Fanny and Matru, I would say that it got fair amount of audience and fair amount of appreciation as well. Though in case of Matru, probably the form was a little difficult for people to understand, because they are not exposed so much to world cinema. Those who were exposed to it appreciated the film greatly. Those who are being exposed to it said that it's interesting, it's nice. Those who completely go only for the mainstream cinema thought, what is this kind of storytelling? So it's always an attempt by the filmmaker. Sometimes you will have more audiences, sometimes you will have lesser audiences. As far as Shandar is concerned, I have no clue at all. I was just a part of it as an actor, and it had the best possible people to produce the film, best possible people to market it. A very successful director, had an excellent cast, was a very simple mainstream story which was being told. So that's something I cannot understand, and I leave it to the pundits of films who will be talking about why it happened and how it happened. But one thing what I've learned in the last 35 years of my involvement in cinema is that you can only do your best as an actor and as a director and as a producer, but you cannot define the success of a film, because that completely depends on million other things which are not in your control.
So whom do you count as your inspiration?
I can't say any one individual person, but I'd say to start with, it was my father, who as a person I admired greatly. And then I think Mr. Al-Qazi, who was our teacher, and a whole set of teachers in the National School of Drama. And then a whole set of actors in the world and filmmakers in the world whose work I saw and learnt from them, and still am in the process of learning. Good literature, good works of art, music, dance, everything related to creativity. The more you expose yourself, the richer you become, I would say. So those are things which have inspired me to stay inspired even today. So that's where my inspiration lies, frankly.
We all saw that you paint in Finding Fanny, but I didn't know that you actually paint, and I saw your paintings over here. How did this start?
Actually, this started much after Finding Fanny. One fine day, on a Christmas day, my children, so we have this tradition of leaving little gifts for each other. This has been so, I mean, my wife sort of decided this because when the kids were very small, she would make a little tree and keep little gifts for them. That's continued. So now children have also started doing that for their parents. So as a gift on Christmas, my children gave me some paints and some canvases. And I was very pleasantly surprised because I've never painted in my life. And that's where it started. I just started using it, and I found great solace in that. I found a sense of expressing myself in that. I'm not a traditional painter. I cannot draw a face, to be honest. But I thought I can have my own way of expressing myself with color on a canvas or on paper or whichever way. So that's how I started to paint, and I love it. I already spend quite a lot of time when I'm free in getting pleasure of putting paint on canvas.
How many paintings have you completed till now?
I think about 45, 50.
What do you do with them?
No, they're all lying with me just now. Some of them are at home. Some my children have taken and put in their rooms. So just now about 10, 12 of them are divided between the family just now, and about 30, 40 of them are lying inside. So someday some people are suggesting that I should do an exhibition. I'll see.
Definitely should.
Yeah, let's see. I'm not doing it for a professional reason. I'm doing it more for expressing whatever I can through color. That's how it's more like a peaceful exercise for me, which I really enjoy. It's like having that one moment as an actor or as a director or as a writer. It is one of those things which, and this also gives me happiness. Yeah.
Good to know. It's been a year, Shahid and Mira are married now.
Yeah.
So have you eased into that role of father-in-law and now soon to be grandfather?
Yeah, looking forward to that quite eagerly. I'm talking of being a grandfather, and yes, it's wonderful to have your children extend themselves into a larger part of the family and become a larger family. It's wonderful to have a new person come in. In case of Mira, it seems like I've always known her, that she's been a part of the family. She's such a wonderful girl. And to be honest, she has also brought the family much closer. There's a lot more warmth in each one of us and a lot more dependability on each one of us. So which is so wonderful. And I am, to say the least, most excited about becoming a grandfather.
Any names that you or Supriya ma'am have decided yet?
No, this we leave to the children to decide for themselves. The parents should have the prerogative to decide the names for the children.
What do you think of Shahid as an actor on a scale of 1 to 10?
I don't want to put numbers, but I think it's for the audiences to see from his first film to the last film that he did, as to how he has grown as an actor and how he has learned to choose roles which have some meat in them, and which will tell his audiences the kind of ability he has as an actor. So especially last 3-4 films that he has done, like Heather, like Kurta Punjab, before that Kamine, things like that. Though till today, one of his very performance that I really find apt is Jab We Met, because I feel he had not much of a role supported by the writer in the film, but he did a wonderful job in that. And of course, in his dramatic parts, both in Heather and in Urta Punjab or in Kamine, he's done a wonderful work.
Have you seen Urta Punjab?
I've seen all the films.
Seen it.
Yeah.
And so, do you calm him down if and when his films don't work?
I think because he's had an exposure with me for a long time, so we have always discussed this between us, that as actors we can do whatever we can. Beyond that, it's not in our capacity to actually control the box office. What can happen is you can, in his case, because he's a mainstream star as well, so he can have a draw, but rest will depend on how the film is made, because that is not in your control as an actor. You can only do your work to the best of your ability and market it to the best of the demands of the marketing agencies or the world. Rest you cannot control. And you should feel satisfied with the fact that I did my best. Give your best to whatever project you're doing. That's the best that we as actors can do.
Will you direct a film again?
Yes, why not?
So, are you planning, like after Mosam?
See, what happens is, with me, as you said, you have come on stage after 20 years. It's a matter of phases. I also read in phases. I might have a phase of reading where for 4 months I don't pick my neck up and I'm into books. But maybe for next 8 months or a year I may not read a word.
Okay.
So I'm somebody made like that. So these days I'm painting a lot. I've started theatre again, and I'm thinking of writing a bit for theatre as well. So in that entire thing, it is possible that on a given day, a drive within me might come and I say, okay, let me direct a film now. But it's not as if I don't want to struggle about it, if you know what I mean.
Yes.
For me, what is important is to express myself in one medium or the other. Because what is important is to be involved in the process of expressing yourself, more than this or that. So wherever I get an opportunity to express myself best, or in which I feel most satisfied, is the medium in which I indulge myself. And yes, there are scripts which are there with me, already written, which I would like to direct. Let's see as and when it happens. Yeah.
Okay, I'm really curious to know that in today's day and age where everybody is using social media to promote themselves, why are you not on social media?
Uh, Now, to surprise you slightly, I am not personally on social media, but Theatron has just gone on social media just about 3 days back.
Okay.
Simply because we realized that through newspaper advertising, it's not enough to reach out to a whole lot of people, because today's youngster is more dependent on Facebook, Twitter, etc. Personally speaking, I don't want people to know about what's happening in my personal life. I don't want to tell them that I'm moving from one place to the other, I'm traveling here, I'm eating this, I'm wearing this. Those are things that, I mean, that's my personal life. I don't want to share it with the world. Yes, I would definitely want to share my professional work with them. That too in terms of the knowledge that this is what I am doing. I would be keen in case they can come and see my work and then judge it for themselves and comment on that in the way they want to. Frankly, I said judge themselves. I don't want to be judged. I think if they have a good experience watching you or seeing your work, that gives me a great sense of satisfaction in whichever medium I am expressing at that given moment.
Are you aware about Nasir Saab's comment on Rajesh Khanna?
Yes, I've read
And the
about it.
entire Twitter thing that happened?
No, I'm not aware of that, but I'm aware that he did say something and there was some kind of reaction to that,
Yes.
etc. I think I look upon it in two ways.
Okay.
One is that everybody has a right to say what they feel, and nobody should be stopped from saying that, and the others have a right to react to it. So both the parties are fair in their own position.
Okay, you've played several iconic characters on TV like Detective Karamchand, Musaddi Lal and Mohan Bharti. Which of them do you identify the most?
As far as identification is concerned, I think I identify with Musaddi Lal the most, because I do see myself as a common man. I come from a middle class family, and even in Bombay in today's time, I live a middle class life in Bombay, and I do come across situations that most middle class people have gone through or do go through. So I do identify myself as a common man much more than any of the other characters that I've done, in terms of identification. But obviously as an actor, you want to do different kinds of parts of different nature, but because you said identification, then I identify myself much more with a character like Musaddi Lal.
Do you plan to make a comeback on TV screen?
A difficult question. I am not keen to do TV for two reasons. One, because it's very tiring. Okay. That's one, and the other is it's very repetitive. Third is that it's, with due respect to all that is happening on television, it's not my cup of tea. It's not up my sleeve. But in case there is something in which there are not managers to manage a story, but there is a director who directs a story, and the director is the in charge, and there's a story which has been pre-decided and it's not going to change during the course of its run, and if there's something meaty that is offered to me which I find interesting and sensible, I might consider. And if the working hours are limited, which is asking for too much, So I think for me, as of today, television seems to be a little difficult proposition, and I think maybe I've done enough. I've given about 15 years of my career to television, doing some 10, 12 major series, but the sense of satisfaction was drawn out of the fact that each character was different from the other, which sort of gave me a kick as an actor.
But your fans do miss you on screen.
Well, it's a great medium.
Yes.
I mean, I wouldn't deny that, but I would say that it's a matter of, whether the sensibilities that are being exercised in today's time are sort of acceptable to you or not. And I would also be very honest, in case I become completely out of work and I have nowhere else to go, I might consider doing something which can give me some exposure and reach to my audiences. But in the current scenario of the way the things are, and I'm looking that it's going to change. It has to change. It stayed for too long. It must change. And the change will be for better, for sure. So I'm looking forward to those times when things of those kind will be made, where I can actually be a part of it.
Any few lines that you remember from Office that are your personal favorite?
No, I personally don't repeat any of the things that I've spoken as an actor or as a character in any of my projects, because that work is within the action and cut of a given project, and that should stay within there. And outside of it, I am just a human being who professionally happens to be an actor.
What are your next projects that you're working on?
I have a few scripts which I'm going through. A film called Toba Tek Singh should be releasing, which was made by Ketan Mehta.
Okay.
And it's a story by Saadat Hasan Manto, one of the finest writers that we have had in Hindi Urdu language. And I'm reading a few scripts in futuristic terms. There's Dopahri happening. We are looking forward to a tour of Dubai and America with Dopahri, and some new production that we should be able to come up as far as theatre is concerned.
And I wish you all the very best. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank you
you
so much.
Thanks.